relationship.
Okay.
Strategic partnerships in general is not like it's a straight line, smooth, and it's like butterflies
Kumbaya
and sunsets.
kind of
right.
moment, right.
I mean, it's still like everyone's questioning each other and, hey, what are you doing? How are you doing this? Are we competitors? Are we suppliers? Are we customers? Welcome to Season 2, Episode 2 of Brothers, Battles and Bounty, where family, business, and future success converge. I'm your host. I'm Andreas.
I'm Martin.
I'm Stefan.
And we are here to address a topic of working with other businesses. Is that the
Strategic
Partnerships.
with other businesses.
Thank you for clarifying that. So working with other strategic partnerships. So kicking it off, how would we define a strategic partnership?
Well, if you think back from when, Dad started the business, one of the first customers that he had when he got into furniture was Regal Seating.
Yeah.
Okay, or was Regal Manufacturing? I don't know what it was Regal, but
Shout out to the Saviano family.
Yeah. Shout out.
Savianos.
Woo, woo.
Dad was starting out the business, and Jerry, the father, came to Dad and wanted to do business because he was just starting his company.
Yep. Early 60s.
Early
Yep.
60s.
Yep. He's a young guy.
And didn't have any credit established or didn't have anything. So he asked Dad, hey, I would like to buy, the swivels and stuff that you're making, but, is there any way I can get, open terms?
Mm-hmm.
And Dad was like, yeah, sure, no problem,
Mm-hmm.
And that was the start of, a strategic partnerp.
That's a great example.
Dad took the risk because Dad was new in business. And he's like, hey, yeah, let's go, let's make this happen. And, to this day, Regal Seating has been and always has been in our top 5 customers.
And how long has that been, roughly?
62.
1962. So do the math. It's almost 50 years would be 2012, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So 62 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
so that
to me,
is a great example of a strategic
partnerships are
Yeah.
ones where you need each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to, hey, I need you, but you don't need me.
Right.
Mhm.
So
Right.
it's like, hey,
That's a great
but when
example.
you need each other, that's what I kind of look at as a strategic partnership.
What you just triggered, what's really exciting for me is I just went and was going over some new product development ideas with Jerry, who's still around,
Yeah.
still active every
He's
day.
in his 80s. I think he's
I think 80
something, yeah.
82, in that range. Not 100% sure.
He takes care of himself well. He
Oh,
looks amazing.
Yeah.
He does.
He's looks like
And
he's
he's
in
got
his
his 2
late
sons
60s.
working there.
Yep.
Danny and Vince.
Yep.
Shout out to Vince and Danny.
Yep.
Yes.
100%. But just working with him, the amount of knowledge he has from all the years, and then listening to you talk about his relationship with our dad, who's not here anymore. We miss him. We love you, Dad. We miss you.
Amen.
But it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And he'll tell me stories about that. If you ever ask him, he's got a lot of pretty cool stories because those guys spend a lot
Some
of
we
time,
can probably
not
tell.
a lot of
some we
time
can't.
together. But they work together for
Yeah.
a long time, and there's a lot of history there, and it's pretty awesome.
So one of the things that sort of cut you off, but I was
You're going to do it anyways?
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Do you want a fresh one?
No, but I have something important to say. I mean, you
Okay.
guys have just been babbling along over there.
I don't?
No, of course you do.
I know. Just kidding. Go ahead.
Just give me a chance. That's all I'm saying. I
All
mean, you've been yakety yak. The point is with strategic partnerships, a couple things come to mind. One, it would be fantastic for us to have Jerry in on one of our episodes. I think that would be phenomenal. And we could potentially do it there on site. Either way. So that's that. Mark that, check that box.
I will invite him for sure.
The other thing I was thinking about in the strategic partnerships, when I initially heard it, it sounds like a real warm and fuzzy, like, oh, we're strategic and we're this.
Partners.
Partners. The evolution and the challenges and the conflict that this strategic partnership has delivered,
You're talking about the Regal
smooth.
relationship.
The Regal
Specific-
relationship.
okay.
Strategic partnerships in general
Okay.
is not like it's a straight line, smooth, and it's like butterflies and
Kumbaya
sunsets.
kind of
Right.
moment, right.
I mean, it's still like everyone's questioning each other and, hey, what are you doing? How are you doing this? Are we competitors? Are we suppliers? Are we customers?
Yep.
All this human nature. I don't know
Essence,
essence. And, the duration of time is what really proves it out. You
Wow.
really can't even.
Yeah,
So let's say, we want to have a strategic partnership. What does that
hell
mean?
does that
62
mean?
years
Yeah.
of doing business together
Yeah.
is would be longevity,
Yes,
right?
of course. And how it looks. So I'm trying to have us make an attempt to articulate what a strategic partnership really looks like.
Mm.
And for me, this is Regal included, but it's also other strategic partnerships. It's conflict, it's problem resolution,
Mm-hmm.
it's challenges, it's questions of what are your intentions,
Right.
how would we elaborate on this
Um,
essence of strategic partnership?
Yeah. To me, longevity, gets triggered into my mind. Obviously, materiality of economic materiality of what's the volume of
Adding
economic
value.
activity.
Yep.
It's a lot like a family. The collaborative effort of trying to work together, like with a husband and wife. Okay, like with Kathleen, we've been together 42 years.
That
Love
poor
you,
girl,
Kath. Shout
yeah.
out.
We love you too, Kat.
But the point is that you don't always agree on stuff, and it's you got to
Well,
really.
Linda and I always agree on everything. So
Well, as long as you agree with everything she says,
Well,
you probably
yeah,
get along
so
fine.
that's just take
but,
notes.
But business is like that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm imagining, because that having
conflict resolution
and
has
the
been-
motivation and intention to be able to resolve the conflict.
Yeah.
Because if you don't care, or you're not strategic, or you're not a partnership, you have a conflict and you move on. Right.
Well, that's
So
why
what
I said
keeps you-
you
yeah.
need a strategic partnership is when you need each other. So when there is a conflict that comes
Yeah.
up, you want to resolve the conflict.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the one, okay, resolving a conflict doesn't mean I win, you lose.
Yeah.
That's a
It's-
great point.
it's-
That's a great point.
we win, you win. And
Yeah.
that's what we've always done with
Yeah.
with not only customers, because strategic partners are not always just customers.
Yeah.
They're vendors also.
And employees.
And
Yeah.
employees.
Yeah.
And if you look at from when Dad started the business, all of the customers and vendors, they were strategic partners.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of them were kind of starting out. They needed us. He needed them.
Mhm.
And even to this day, we still have a lot of the same customers.
And the same
And the
relationships.
same,
We still need
same
them.
relationship and the same vendors.
So what you triggered is when you initiate, like we're initiating, doubling our business in the next 3 to 5 years. When you initiate growth, okay, it can create conflict with customers,
Yeah.
with vendors, with employees. Okay,
So at the same time of conflict, it also creates opportunity. And it's
Okay.
really
but the opportunity
essence.
is disguised as a conflict. So by overcoming, the different obstacles is really the raw material for breakthroughs.
raw material for breakthroughs. And I think it's important to have a foundation of integrity, of values.
Mhm.
Like, we appreciate conflict. And why? Because it's really
For
highlighting
brothers in business, yeah, you have to get good at it.
But yeah,
Otherwise, you're
right.
going to get killed.
Right. But the conflict is really the opportunity to come to a resolution. And what we've experienced with each other, of course, and with customers and with suppliers, in most cases, if not, and the majority,
Yeah.
that conflict actually made everyone better, made the relationship better. It was uncomfortable. It was, but the integrity of, hey, I'm telling you the truth. Hey, this is really where we're going. We're not trying to screw you over. The integrity is important part of it.
And also, what I've learned, and I think we've all learned through this, is that strategic partners is very difficult to do with large corporations that aren't either privately owned or family owned, because they're not
Bless you.
Thank you.
their interests are not Trendler. They're
Well, it's a whole different
it's a
corporate
whole different
psychology.
and which is fine. They're but with us, Trendler, whenever we try to get a new customer or a new vendor, we're looking for those traits,
Yeah.
and we know that not all of them are going to have that. That doesn't mean we're not going to buy from them or sell to them, but it's like, who you can partner
It's
with.
a better fit.
You know who you can partner
Culturally.
with,
Yeah.
and who's just going to be transactional. And transactional is fine.
Yeah.
But the growth in the stuff always seems to blossom with the strategic partnerships, whether vendors or customers.
So is there a ability for us to develop a criteria to pursue other strategic partnerships, or is it an organic process?
Yeah.
Is it something you can engineer?
To me, that's a great question. From my experience, I would say, and I've been doing this since May of 1985. So if I do the math, that's 40 years.
So you're just a pup,
Just a little baby.
scratching the surface.
Just a baby. I think it's more organic because it comes from the essence of conflict. Conflict is the foundation of growth is conflict.
And
in
not
order
to,
to
not
grow,
to, not to,
and well, let me just finish this thought.
collaborative conflict.
Correct.
Conflict could be the
So
separator.
Use the
but
example of
collaborative.
4 brothers in business, okay, where we're experiencing the various conflicts throughout our lives. In 40 years of me being, actually, it's more than that, but just
So how
officially.
long have you been here?
Well, in 1962, I had my first job.
Yeah.
But so
So
but
then
that's
the
when I was a
conflict
kid.
started then. is what I'm
That
trying to
was when the
say.
conflict started.
Yeah.
But my point is, our growth came from managing the conflict.
Right.
Okay, and so how do you create a strategic partnership? It's not just la 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 la. We want to be a strategic partner.
Yeah,
Right.
Somehow each one's going to look a little different, and organically, it's going to come through some form of conflict.
Right.
And we know we have the skills to where, somebody says they want to be a strategic partner with us. So we sit down, we talk with them, and we can pick it out right away that their idea of a strategic partner is they win and we might
Well, yeah, you
win.
sell
and
to me
not-
for cost
Right.
for 20 years, and we can take over the market, kind of guy, right?
Right. Okay, yeah, that sounds like a great strategic partner. But
So
We had somebody ask us that question.
I know. But we know that,
Right.
that's something we've learned over
Yeah.
the years
Experience
that,
yeah.
a lot of people throw that strategic partner crap just throw it out like,
it even has a buzz within our
Right.
culture. The one thing that I realized in regard to the essence of it is, as you were explaining it, Steph, was it is in conflict, but then what I had a flash of, it's our intellectual capacity to absorb this conflict and start trying to figure out how to make an opportunity out of it. It's almost like pure entrepreneurial essence where, okay, conflict, what do? We ponder it, we've reflected, how do we turn this into something good? And it's really a source of innovation. It's a source of growth. And the main emphasis I have at this point is, as an individual, it gets me to want to learn more so that I could grow into the next biggest conflict. It's like it's a personal and professional growing opportunity.
Well, take Dad as an example when he started the business, okay? His back was against the wall right out of the chute, okay? And so when your back's against the wall, you either have to innovate or you're going to die. I mean, there's no second chance. And so when you're put in that, when human beings are put in that situation of where you have to do something, strategic partnership looks a little bit different than when you have a couple $1 million in the bank and you got line of credit and you got equipment, material, labor force, markets, vendors, right?
yeah.
So
that's a great example. There was I had a meeting with
Yes.
strategic, right?
I had a meeting with a bank, and we were just just sharing war stories. And while we're in this restaurant, somebody comes walking up to us, a huge bank client. I mean, like one of the majors.
Mm-hmm.
And the individual's like, hey, we don't bank anymore. How come? I'd love to talk to you. And and the founder of this company says, I will never bank with you.
Mhm.
when I started my business, I needed you guys bad. And you told me
Great
that,
story.
listen, if I had $10 in my pocket, I wouldn't give it. You don't got nothing. He says, look at me now. So he says, the guy basically said, kiss my ass.
Okay. So,
And so that kind of thing.
Yep.
When I needed you, you weren't there, like you said. And, now I don't need you and you weren't there when I needed you. So that's strategic.
Right.
Yeah. And that's organic.
Organic,
So
strategic.
you
And Dad did that.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we all have a little bit of that in us, but we need to go back to those roots and pretend like, because we've been successful. Things have been great. It's not like we're on the mountaintop.
No.
But to have that fight or flight mentality with your day-to-day business, listening to Mom inspired me in our documentary, knowing what Dad went through and what Mom went through, and just getting that fire in your belly.
Yeah.
If you don't have that fire and you start to feel like, I've arrived, I've done this and that, you change.
Yeah.
It changes you.
Well,
and strategic
it weakens you
partnership
up.
is different at that
Right.
point.
Yeah.
Right? Than if you're,
well
how
put.
strategic you are. If you go to get something from somebody, they just tell you to buzz off.
Well, it's kind of like,
Right?
I'm fascinated with like the mixed martial arts stuff.
Uh-huh.
Fascinated from the standpoint of you put two warriors together and they battle it out, and a lot of these fighters are just come from nothing, and they come from a lot, but they're trying to prove something. They're
just angry.
And when they go there and they become a massive success. Boom. They're like now top of the heap. Get all the millions that they never had. Do all the stuff, buy the boats and all
Hot
the
chicks, everything.
Then they come back after that. They're never the same. Very rarely does anybody have the ability to come back and maintain so I'm using that as an example of
who they hang around with, who they associate. Now all of a sudden all the guys are, you're the best, you're great.
best.
But when he was working his way up, they wouldn't give him the time of day.
Right. So
kind of thing.
I agree with that fight thing, and I'm a little
sure
struggling with it.
Yeah.
And what I'm struggling with is the Zen environment of having your intentions of what the future is and the strategic plan of what we want to create. Do we really need that deadlift 1,000 pounds mentality, or did we become successful in spite of that or because of that?
What do you think?
And I'm still philosophically I'm pondering. I think
shot.
there is it's a mixture of both, and it really is an individual's journey through growth.
How about a collective, a company's journey?
Well, the collective.
So you're talking about
yes,
individual.
right.
We're talking now about company.
That's great.
I'm because that's what you're triggering.
It's interrelated. It's interrelated.
Of course
So
it is.
as I'm growing and exuding whatever it is I'm learning or not learning, you guys are either, oh, that's a great idea, or that idea sucks. And through the, I haven't heard that yet, or at least not in years.
There's still time.
Or at least not this week. What's today? No, but the real thing is the
Dad
individual.
would say, if that's your best, your
best sucks. That's a great story. That's a good segue real quickly. I remember one time I was struggling. This is a great example of how to, do your best. And I'm working on this challenge, a conflict, and I was at my wit's end. I mean, I was full. I was done.
How long ago? Just curious.
Probably 25 years
Okay, a
ago.
long time ago. Yep.
And so I remember Dad coming in and saying, hey, what's the status of this? I go, this is what he's like, that's it. We need to, I said, listen, I'm doing my best here. He says, this is your best? And I'm like, oh, he cares. He's really asking. I said, yeah, this is my best. He goes, well, if that's your best, your best sucks.
Okay, cool.
So
Did that inspire you?
It actually did.
Okay.
I want to tell him, it angered me, but the anger was a wellspring. The point is, through this growth, sometimes it takes a slap, sometimes it takes a hug,
Yep.
but we've been growing from each other. And there's different points where each one of us are possibly growing a little more areas than the others, but we kind of are catching up. And I think right now, given the growth that we want to double in the next 3 to 5 years, I think this essence of growing together and collaborating is more important than ever in the history of the company. Even though now that have a stability, a foundation, you look at like the examples in a previous podcast where Tom, our CFO, mentioned these companies who are at the top of their game, they're gone.
They're gone.
And so without this continuous growing, we have the potential to have that experience as well.
So share your thoughts on it, because you've just said a lot. That was awesome. I'm just curious where you're at right now.
I think a lot of it is organic, in the sense that, Dad had that drive in himself that nobody taught him that. Okay. Well, through experiences. Okay.
Getting
But
his
there was
ass
still
kicked pretty
something
regular, yeah.
there. Majority
his
of it,
Dale
I think,
Carnegie
is,
wasn't very.
no, he wasn't.
refined.
No. But I think it's organic. I
Okay.
think it's organic.
Cool.
Yeah. So I think the key word is the collaboration. We need to focus certainly on. I personally, professionally see us putting forth more effort than we ever have in the collaboration initiative. We don't compete with each other. I don't think we have an issue there. Occasionally, different things.
Unless we're golfing.
Yeah, well, in that case, I mean, yeah. But
Cheater.
but the collaboration, the collaboration, I think, is a great starting point for us on this journey at this particular juncture, because I think there's so much more we can learn from each other. And one thing I learned about just doing this podcast, which has just been awe-inspiring and enlightening, was, I mean, I've been working with you guys forever, and just the change in perspective of each one of you with this format it's been amazing, absolutely amazing. So the collaboration part, I think, is something can really contribute.
The whole dynamic of season 2, episode 2, the whole concept of processing thoughts and sharing those thoughts on a regular basis through the podcast, through the episodes, has been really transformational for me,
therapeutic, and growing.
We normally would never have the types of conversations and talk about the subjects that we talk about in the ways that we talk about them if it wasn't for the podcast.
Yeah, we wouldn't have a platform.
But more importantly is trying to get it to resonate with the audience out there, with different people in business or not in business, that have brothers, that don't have family, to inspire others to be aware of what's possible, because what we're doing is pretty unique and pretty special. Okay, I feel that, and I think this podcast is a great opportunity to share that with the rest of the world and try to inspire some folks.
Even if we can get one person out there that
raise your sandals
picks
a
up,
little bit,
just picks up something and is able to change, their business, their life, whatever. It's just
everybody's so busy. Everybody's running, man. Nobody's. But
we've been through a lot in business and family.
Yeah. And you saying that, it kind of like touches a chord. It's interesting when you say we've been through a lot, and we have, and the chord it strikes is like an emotion, like a.
Yeah, your voice is breaking up.
It is. It is. I know.
Look at you.
And the
sensitive.
The part that I am. I have a big heart, and it was broken a while ago, and now it's healing. No, we have been through a lot, and we're able to celebrate this journey where there's a lot of people that have been also through a lot and haven't had the chance to celebrate this passage through the fire.
Yep.
And we could come up with example after example of things throughout the years, and we've been through a lot. You think about that in and of itself, it's powerful. Yeah. It's really powerful.
But I think
go ahead. You want to fresh?
Did you just interrupt him?
Did you just shush me?
Come on, guys. Collaboration. No. But I was.
You do that anyway.
No, go ahead.
Don't trigger me. Remember those? That's a little flashback. But so I just lost my whole train of thought. Go ahead.
So it must have been real important.
It was. But you completely screwed me up on it.
We're talking about the hardship, what we've been through a lot.
Yeah.
And you started saying that it's been easy for you, or what?
So the hardship and struggle is where you grow. Okay, it's really the place where breakthroughs come from, and that uncomfortable feeling. You and I have talked about this all the time in the morning when we debrief and do stuff. We haven't talked as much about it, but I want to start talking with you more about it, because there are a lot of times when I'm feeling really uncomfortable with something, but I realize it's just what I'm uncomfortable with is my thought about a particular subject. And I realize that I have the ability to control my thoughts. So if I change my thought on that subject that's making me uncomfortable, I may still be uncomfortable, but I'm changing, how I'm approaching that. And to have that tool available to us when we're uncomfortable, because everything's about dealing with things that we're uncomfortable with. If you just deal with stuff you're comfortable with, you'd never grow.
Right.
Well, he has the luxury of dealing with these comfortable
Well, he's
with
a
all the
wealthy
time.
industrialist.
Presidents, everyone
big
does all
shot.
the work.
Yeah,
Big shot,
Yeah.
tough guy. Mhm.
Tells his wife, wife what to do and everything.
No,
She never listens, but that's okay. But no, that's the real thing is changing our perspectives. How can we help each other change the perspectives? And are you even willing to change a perspective? There's this theory where a lot of times when hardship occurs, people will default to their success formula, a formula they've developed over the years where, okay, when this happens, I'm going to do this. And that kind of gets in a groove to the point where
by the time you're our age,
right. At the point though is when so many things have changed, so many things are not the same. Your success formula no longer applies. And if that's all you got, so how do you relearn things? How do you step into recreating a new formula?
A lot of people don't.
This has been a great topic.
Yes.
It really spurred
Whose
some
idea
stuff.
was this topic?
I don't know.
Probably
And,
was his. He's
I think
always,
it was
the baby.
It's been a great topic.
Yeah.
I think it was
You're
awesome.
a leader, man.
And closing comments on it, or
for me, the takeaway is conflict is where growth comes from, and strategic partnerships are developed organically. And I think we've been successful in that realm, and we need to continue to work to expand on what's working and minimize what's not. So, but yeah, thanks. It was cool.
for me, is just taking the organic experience that Dad passed on to me, and continue to utilize that in not just business but in family too.
Yeah,
love it. For me, the strategic partnership concept, the big takeaway I got from you, Marty, and I want to thank you for that. And what I'm thanking you for is Dad saying, giving people an opportunity, even though they didn't have the credentials or didn't have the background. I think giving each other the permission to try things and do things, and a little more without having the criteria necessary to take that next step, I think is great. So with that, this was great. I agree. Thank you very much. This concludes another episode of Brothers, Battles, and Bounty. And so please connect with us on all the mediums available. Who's
LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook,
Spotify,
Instagram,
Apple Podcast.
TikTok.
Yep.
All
Our
of them.
website. Go to our website.
Yeah, check out our website.
Yeah.
We
And
got all the-
subscribe. Please subscribe. How many
Ooh.
subscribers do we have?
We're just under 200.
Okay, lovely.
Let's
so
crank
help
it
us
up.
there.
Let's go.
Yeah, we're at 900,000 views on videos.
Oh,
awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Not too shabby.
Well, cool. Thank you. With that,
Thank you.
conclude another episode. Until next time.